Harry Potter Chaos Demon, Dumbledore begs me to graduate. Welcome funds. Enjoy exclusive audiobook experiences right here. Check out my website for more episodes and audiobooks. Links are in the description. Episode 31, Disappointing Defense Against the Dark Arts Class. Are you okay? Wayne helped the frightened Hermione up and asked with concern. No, it's okay. Hermione shook her head, looking at Seamus with fear in her eyes. Magic is too dangerous. No, that's not right. It wasn't the magic that was dangerous, it was Seamus. She had practiced so many spells at home and had never encountered such an accident. At most, the spell failed to work. Hermione said seriously, let's stay away from Seamus from now on. I don't want to end up in the infirmary lying down. Wayne smiled and nodded. He saw that Professor Flitwick had arranged for Seamus and Neville to practice in the corner of the classroom, for fear that they would accidentally hurt others. Fortunately, Seamus is still just a little wizard and his magic power is far from strong. The effect just now was just for show, there wasn't much actual damage. Everyone was just startled and recovered quickly. After class, Hermione had forgotten that she was still angry with Wayne and enthusiastically invited him to the library to do homework together. Wayne had no objection, and the two of them walked all the way to the library, and immediately shut up as soon as they entered the door. The librarian, Madame Pins, is a bad-tempered woman who is extremely protective of books and hates noisy students. If someone makes her angry, she will chase them away with a feather duster. Wayne felt that she was most likely a squib, and the reason why she treasured the books so much was because the contents recorded in them were the treasures she had always dreamed of. Hermione took out her defense against the dark arts textbook and started writing her paper, while Wayne chose a copy of Zinnis's dueling manual, and started reading. Zinnis was the most famous dueling master in the early 20th century. He once set a record of 38 consecutive undefeated games and dominated the headlines for a week. The most special thing is that this duel master did not master any advanced magic, but achieved such achievements only by relying on those simple spells. The book also recorded several of his battles. Wayne took a look and indeed learned some useful tips. Hogwarts is a huge treasure that lies before everyone. But not everyone has the ability or energy to obtain it. Apart from the professors, the 4 deans are all talented people. It will definitely be of great benefit to receive their guidance. Even if you go to Snape to ask a question, he'll be a little harsh at best, but he'll still answer your question. The library is also a treasure trove. It contains the heritage accumulated by the castle over thousands of years. Students have 7 years to improve themselves, but how many people do so? Therefore, Hogwarts is very magical, providing both happy education suitable for everyone and elite education for the ambitious. Whether you are a dragon or a worm depends on your thoughts. Wayne was dissatisfied with the fact that the restricted books section was too large, occupying 1/3 of the entire library. It wasn't this big at the beginning, but after what happened with Voldemort, Dumbledore gradually expanded it to what it is now. Even magic like the Patronus charm is classified in the restricted area. Old Deng, I can buy this magic at Flourish and Blots. The new semester quickly got on track and the freshmen gradually adapted to school life. For most of the courses, everyone is quite satisfied. The favorite course for young wizards is undoubtedly the Charms class. The professor was easy to talk to, and he spent plenty of time waving his wand and performing magic in class. The Transfiguration class was not bad, but Professor McGonagall was so strict that the young wizards were a little scared, fearing that their school would lose points. Another thing is that Transfiguration is really difficult. After 2 Transfiguration classes, many people's hands are almost numb from waving, but there is no progress at all. The match was still the same match, and there was no shadow of the needle. A little wizard from Ravenclaw was clever and brought a needle to class, successfully deducting 10 points from his own school. Many people said that now when they see long and thin objects, they look like silver needles and they definitely have styes. In addition, the little badgers of Hufflepuff also liked the courses of their dean. Their task in the first week was to replace ginger root, which is a material for making magic potions. It can be used to make scabies potion, intelligence enhancement potion, etc. When Professor Sprout said that this thing was sold for 5 galleons in Diagon Alley, Wayne and other young wizards born in Muggle families were stunned. Don't be so surprised, kids. Sprout explained to them with a smile. This ginger is indeed the ginger you know, but the value-added chemicals and fertilizers used in the cultivation process are very valuable. That's why it's so expensive. What fertilizer? Wayne asked curiously. Moon beast feces. Professor Sprout took out a box filled with silver particles. The feces of the moon crazy beast is very fertile and can also enhance the efficacy of medicine, but it must be fresh and processed. Wayne nodded and took note. The books he read mostly focused on potion making and material selection, and he really didn't understand the planting and maintenance of basic materials like these. He felt a little embarrassed. Herbology was the course taught by his dean, yet he was so uninterested in it. I'll go back and read some more books on herbal medicine to catch up on my studies. The little wizards were not very interested in other courses. For example, for astronomy, you need to climb up the tower at around 10 o'clock on Wednesday night and look at the stars with a telescope. It sounds romantic, but it is too late and many little wizards are already yawning with sleepiness. After returning, I had to write a 10-inch astronomical observation record, which was simply torture. Not to mention history of magic, where every word of Cuthbert Binns was a hypnotic spell that no one except Hermione could resist. The story of how wizards were worshipped as gods in the early days is quite interesting and I could have read the book myself. But when it comes out of Cuthbert Binns' mouth, it becomes a dull and boring letter. Everyone has come to regard history of magic as a good place to catch up on some sleep, because Cuthbert Binns never interferes with the students, and as long as you don't jump up and cause trouble, you can do whatever you want. Also, Defense Against the Dark Arts was a huge disappointment. Quirrell stutters when he speaks, how can he teach well? There were even rumors that Quirrell was made to cry by a young wizard. Most people didn't take it seriously, but as the story spread more and more widely, the story became more detailed and even the name of the little wizard was known clearly. Now, they had no choice but to believe it. The name Wayne Lawrence once again came into everyone's attention. Episode 32 Wayne, Harry, don't look Snape in the eye. Friday morning, freshman Hufflepuff finally had his first Defense Against the Dark Arts class. The classroom was located in a corner on the 3rd floor. When the first little wizard arrived, he repeatedly confirmed that he was in the right place before he walked in hesitantly. The classroom was very dark, with only a small window that was still closed, and the room was filled with an indescribable strange smell. When Wayne came, he also frowned subconsciously. Just as I was about to open the window, Quirrell arrived. Don't open it, it's fine like this, it's fine like this. Professor, I'm here to teach, not to absorb poisonous gas. Wayne said unhappily, and some little wizards started laughing. But he quickly covered his mouth. They were not afraid of being discovered and blamed by the professor, but because after Quirrell came in, he brought a strong smell of garlic, making the smell in the classroom even more unbearable. I encountered a resurrected zombie in Black State. I was cursed and can't be exposed to the wind. Quirrell explained stutteringly, pointing to the scarf on his head. This is a gift from the king, prince of a tribe. Resurrected zombie? Many young wizards became interested. The name of the resurrected zombie, also known as the resurrected corpse, is well known in the magic world. It is a mysterious religious product. Each resurrected corpse is a living dead, a walking corpse without consciousness and soul. Their attack power is not strong, but they have various uses. It is an essential sacrifice for dark wizards to practice black magic. Professor, how do you subdue the resurrected zombies? Justin Finch Fletchley asked, raising his hand. This has nothing to do with this class. Quirrell avoided answering, turned to page 3. Today we're going to learn how to avoid Kaba. No, Professor, just tell me about your experience. Hannah asked again, but Quirrell ignored her and began to lecture vaguely. How to say it? Worse than Cuthbert Binns. Although Cuthbert Binns's speech is very hypnotic, at least his pronunciation is clear and can be used as a bedtime story. But Quirrell stuttered and couldn't read coherently. He wanted to sleep, but the smell in the room made it impossible to fall asleep. Suddenly, the Defense Against the Dark Arts event that everyone was looking forward to turned into a 2-hour-long torture. Wayne raised his hand. Lawrence, do you have any questions? Quirrell asked. Professor, there is indeed a problem, a very big one. Wayne stood up. I understand that Cuthbert Binns reads from the textbook, but if you still read from the textbook, what will we learn about Defense Against the Dark Arts? If we meet Kaba, are we going to kill him by waving our textbooks? Defense Against the Dark Arts, of course I have to learn spells. Could you explain the use of the repulse charm? His words were strongly supported by the students, and everyone spoke loudly. Quirrell was terrified and stammered as he explained that he wanted everyone to have more knowledge and would teach him spells later. In fact, he did teach. After enduring for an hour, Quirrell wrote the spell for the repulsive spell on the blackboard. And then it was over. Wayne said again, Professor, please demonstrate it to us. Quirrell hesitated for a long time and refused on the grounds that it was too dangerous. Everyone was even more dissatisfied. What danger could a repulsive spell bring? Seeing that the situation was out of control, a few tears squeezed out of Quirrell's sparkling eyes. He ran away with the textbook, leaving a group of dumbfounded little wizards behind. Wayne was also confused. He just wanted to earn some points. Why did he make people cry? It has been almost a week since Wayne came to school. On the one hand, he is getting familiar with the school, and on the other hand, he has not found a suitable opportunity to earn points. The other professors were all worthy of his respect, and he would never do anything to deliberately mess things up for points. Only Quirrell, this guy deliberately pretends to be a loser, and he is also Voldemort's Jinchuriki. Wayne feels no guilt at all when bullying him. In just one class, he had already scored more than 100 points. Just when Wayne was planning to make one more effort and collect 200 points before taking a break. Who would have thought that Quirrell had such a poor tolerance that he actually ran away? Who can I go to for justice? There are no secrets at Hogwarts. What happens in class spreads immediately, and the first to know is the other two first-year colleges. Did you really make Professor Quirrell cry? During lunch, Wayne was pulled to the Gryffindor table by Hermione and asked curiously. No, what happened to these two people? Without answering Hermione, Wayne looked at Harry and Neville next to her. Both of them had dull eyes and numb expressions, as if they had been played badly. Don't mention it. Ronald put down his knife and fork angrily. Just now in potions class, Snape chased Harry like a Krupp, asking a ton of questions even though they were things he hadn't learned yet. In the end, Harry couldn't answer him and he deducted 2 points from us. Granger's hands are up to the ceiling, and he still can't see. Is he blind? Hermione gave him an unpleasant look. What do you mean by lifting it to the ceiling? Does that mean she is a long-armed monster? So it was a potions class. Wayne was not surprised at all. Instead, he was surprised that Snape only deducted 2 points from them. It was too little. I have a way to make you less targeted, Wayne said after a moment's hesitation. Harry's eyelids twitched and he looked over involuntarily. Coach, I want to learn. Ahem, Wayne said in a pretentious tone. When Snape asked you the question, were you staring at him the whole time? Harry nodded vigorously. This is a master, he even knows this. That's your fault. Wayne shook his head. Think about it, when you hate someone, and they keep staring at you, clearly showing their disapproval, what would you do? Harry mused. I'm just going to get angrier and angrier. Wayne clapped his hands. That's right. Next time you encounter this kind of situation, just bow your head and sincerely admit your mistake. Even if the professor is angry, there's nothing he can do. After all, you have such a good attitude. Harry's eyes became brighter and brighter, and he finally said gratefully. Thank you, Wayne, otherwise I really don't know what I would do. You're welcome. Wayne smiled gently. Remember, never make eye contact with Snape. After saying this, he disappeared after the system prompted that his points had increased by 50. Episode 33, thanks to Snape for the big melon. Looking at Wayne's back as he walked further and further away, Hermione became a little suspicious. She always felt that this guy was doing something bad behind her back, but she had no evidence, so she had to continue eating with her head down. There is no class this afternoon, so the little witch plans to go to the library and use the whole afternoon to finish all her homework, and use the 2 days of the weekend to preview the next lessons. This week, Hermione's academic dominance has been fully demonstrated. She can help Gryffindor get more points in every class, except potions. But she is still under a lot of pressure because of Wayne. Judging from their usual performance in class, the two were actually similar, but Hermione knew that Wayne must have hidden a lot of things. In the Transfiguration class, she could only slightly change the color and texture of the match. Although Professor McGonagall was happy, he also told Hermione that Wayne succeeded in one try. Hermione knew that the reason she could perform so well now was entirely due to her hard work and a good memory. But what about Wayne? This guy only read miscellaneous books when he was with her in the library, and he would often sneak away to play wizard chess and crackling exploding cards with his classmates. He looks more relaxed than Harry and Ronald. Last time she caught Wayne performing a wandless healing spell on Caillou, a skill that many adult wizards could not master. Pure overwhelming talent is what makes people despair. Hermione knows that she can only catch up with Wayne's progress if she works harder. He hid it too deeply. If Wayne knew what Hermione was thinking, he would definitely cry out in injustice. He is also hiding. After arriving at Hogwarts, Wayne never thought about just staying put and developing. The wizarding world was still relatively peaceful, and only those who showed more talent would be favored by the professor. In the future, if you get into trouble, you will receive a lighter punishment. The main thing is, this is all the first-year students learn, and any student of similar age can learn it, like Hermione now. It doesn't reflect his talent. Do I have to go directly to the professor to perform a 5-whip spell? Wayne, unaware that he had been labeled AB****ch by Miss Granger, came to the potions classroom in the basement after lunch. A week was enough time for the little wizards to get to know the teachers in the school. Especially Snape, a professor with a very unique personality. At almost 12:50, the classroom was already filled with Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw students. No one dared to make a loud noise, and many people kept glancing towards the door. Wayne and Hannah sat at the same table, and to be honest he wasn't too worried. His last name wasn't Potter, and he wasn't a Gryffindor student, so Snape had no reason to target him. At 1 o'clock sharp, Snape walked into the classroom door without missing a beat. He strode in, so fast that he created a breeze, and his robe fluttered in the wind, like a walking bat spirit. Put away that useless wand. Snape's voice was low and magnetic, but it gave people a cold feeling. The young wizards did as they were told. Like Professor Flitwick, Snape took out the roster and began taking roll call. Every little wizard who was called would respond quickly and cautiously, fearing that they would be reprimanded for being a little slow. A precise sense of time is essential for brewing potions. I'm glad no one is late. Snape spoke slowly, clearly happy, but more than one person saw it in his eyes. Disappointment? You are here to learn the precise science and exacting craft of potion making. Since there is no foolish waving of wands here, many of you will not believe that this is magic. I don't expect you to truly appreciate the beauty of a simmering cauldron, emitting white smoke and wafting fragrant aromas. You won't truly understand the mysterious power of the liquid flowing into people's veins, stirring their hearts and minds. I can teach you how to enhance your reputation, brew glory, and even prevent death. This was a very infectious opening remark, and many people were already fascinated and looked expectant. Wayne took advantage of Snape's inattention to secretly curl his lips. He spoke very well indeed. I would say his speaking ability is second only to Grindelwald in the wizarding world. Brew glory, prevent death. I didn't know and thought Snape was going to teach him how to make the Philosopher's Stone. If death could really be prevented, why not save Lily? Well, he couldn't tell that. If he did, he could guarantee that he would receive the green light from the tip of Snape's wand in the next second. Lawrence, Snape said suddenly. Wayne was stunned for a moment, but his body stood up subconsciously. If I want to make herbicide, what else do I need besides lionfish spine powder and flobberworm slime? Hocklip juice, sir. How many methods are there to make rejuvenating agents? 3 methods: extraction, boiling, and grinding into powder. I need a bezoar. Where would you find one? In the cow's stomach, but now there are many cultivated artificial products. Porcupine quill treatment steps for scabies syrup. Cut it into 3 cm lengths, and make slits diagonally every 1 cm. TSK. Snape stopped asking. It seems that compared to Mr. Potter, you are indeed more worthy of the title. The other little wizards were stunned. They could understand every word these two people said. But put together. Because of the isolation room, okay? Why are you looking at me? Is there something I just said on my face? Write it down. Snape suddenly exploded, and the students began to take notes in a hurry. You two, do you want me to ask you to sit down? You're welcome, Professor. Wayne curled his lips and sat down. Who knows what Snape was crazy about, suddenly calling his own name. And it wasn't random, it was definitely targeted at him. The questions just now were basically beyond the syllabus and were not something that first-year students needed to learn at all. They were definitely premeditated. What Wayne didn't know was that Snape had heard from Professor McGonagall about Wayne's talent, that he could summon a Patronus once he got the wand. This magic had special meaning to him, so he naturally remembered Wayne's name. Today's test was just a spur-of-the-moment decision. I wanted to give Wayne a hard time and deduct some points from Hufflepuff. Thanks to his and Cedric's outstanding performance, Hufflepuff's score has now surpassed Slytherin. To his regret, Wayne passed the test. Why couldn't he be like Stupid Pot? Glancing at Wayne, who looked calm, Snape waved his hand and the process for making a potion to treat scabies appeared on the blackboard. The materials are in the closet. Work in pairs. If I catch anyone wasting materials, I'll make 'em eat the extra ones. All the young wizards shuddered. Episode 34, Hufflepuff doesn't keep idle people. There are only wrong names, no wrong nicknames. Snape really transformed into a giant bat, wandering around the classroom. No one knew which student he would appear behind the next second. Bones, is there something wrong with your eyes? Can't you see the big words, venomous snake fang? What are you doing with the boar tusk? Laugh, Carter, what are you laughing at? What do you mean by grinding it into powder? Your powder is the size of a pea? Hannah, who was in the same group with Wayne, shuddered and silently reprocessed the snake tooth powder. Miss Brown, I suggest you send a letter home and bring back the brain you left at home before you go to class. I wrote it clearly, add flobberworm slime, and you put the whole worm in there. You think you're cooking? TSK, what's the difference between this and cooking? Wayne muttered softly after hearing this. Aren't they processing food ingredients now? Put the ingredients into the pot in order, turn the heat down to low, and finally turn to high to reduce the sauce. A pot of freshly baked green slime, and you're done. Hannah, what are you doing? Don't let go. Wayne quickly stopped Hannah from adding ingredients to the pot. What is this? Porcupine quills. The eyes of the witch with pigtails revealed an innocence that had not yet been tainted by knowledge. Wayne was completely annoyed. The porcupine quills are the last step. They should be added when the potion is almost finished. It's still too early. Also, didn't we agree to cut it into 3 centimeters? Do you have 3 millimeters here? The dark brown porcupine quills on the brass tray could be called foam. Wayne began to understand why Snape had such a bad temper. It's hard to be in a good mood when facing such students every day. Ah? Hannah opened her mouth wide and looked at the blackboard hurriedly. She found that it was indeed written as 3 centimeters, and her whole body turned black and white. What should I do, Wayne? I only have this one document. Remembering what Snape had just said, that if you waste materials, you will have to eat them yourself, Hannah looked at Wayne with tears in her eyes. Help me, Wayne, I don't want to be poisoned. Wayne sighed, continue to make the medicine. Keep an eye on the professor for me. Let me know when he's gone away. He no longer dared to let Hannah do anything, and took all the materials to his side to handle. Snape continued to spray his venom, but there was nothing wrong with what he said. It wasn't until he walked to the other side of the classroom that Hannah quickly told Wayne. Wayne looked up and saw that Snape had his back to him, so he immediately took out his wand. Porcupine quills are flying. Suddenly, several porcupine quills flew out of the closet, passed over the little wizard's head, and landed in front of Wayne. Everyone was busy boiling the medicine and didn't notice what was happening. Snape seemed to have sensed something and turned back suddenly, but found nothing unusual. He then turned around and continued to teach Toby and Norman a lesson. Your abilities pose no threat to me in the academic field, but they can bring me infamy in the field of education. 2 points deducted from Hufflepuff. That's so cool. Hannah was no longer panicked, her eyes sparkling with stars. This is the flying spell, which can only be learned in 5th grade. You can learn it if you practice more. I don't have time for that. Hannah shook her head, her pigtails swinging. I still have to go to the kitchen to learn how to cook from the elves. They know so much. Hannah said his dream was to take over the family's leaky cauldron and change the menu, which hadn't changed in 100 years. So whenever I have free time, I go to the kitchen to learn from each elf and learn their specialties. All I can say is that Hufflepuff doesn't keep idle people. The little wizard does everything except study hard. By the end of the get out of class, apart from Wayne and Hannah's group, Snape was only satisfied with the work of Lisa Dupin and Padma Patil from Ravenclaw. Padma Patil is an Indian Brahmin girl of high caste. She has a younger sister, Parvati, who attends Gryffindor College. It is very rare for twin sisters like this to be assigned to different colleges. It's finally over. After walking out of the potions classroom, Wayne stretched comfortably. After a week of classes, there will be 2 days of vacation. Oh yes, and there are also papers that are dozens of inches long, covering all kinds of subjects. Thinking of this, Wayne frowned and walked towards the auditorium. Although these things don't require much brainpower to write, they waste a lot of time. Instead of doing this, he might as well take a walk by the Black Lake and familiarize himself with the terrain of Hogwarts. That would be more meaningful than doing these simple assignments. Wayne, I was just about to go look for you. As they entered the auditorium, Cedric suddenly appeared and patted Wayne on the shoulder. What's up? It's not me, it's the twins looking for you. Cedric tightened the book in his arms. Wayne glanced at it and saw that it was the textbook for care of magical creatures. As the two walked towards the long table, Wayne asked, what tricks have they come up with? I don't know about that. They said they would come to the lounge to see you after dinner, but they didn't say anything else. Wayne nodded. Okay, I got it. At 7 o'clock, a classmate found Wayne, who was playing wizard chess with Cedric, and told him that the twins were outside. I'll go with you. What if they play another prank? Cedric took the opportunity to push the chessboard and said very loyally. If it weren't for the fact that he only had 2 pawns and a queen pawn left on the chessboard, Wayne would have almost believed it. When I arrived outside the common room, I saw 2 rather funny faces. Fred, or maybe George, laughed and joked, Hey, Wayne, why did you bring a bodyguard? He came here on his own. I didn't call him. Wayne shrugged. What do you want from me? Gemini has been very busy this week since he cheated her twice last time. Just when he finished copying the famous alumni, he couldn't wait to get another one delivered to his door. Wayne was also a little curious about what they were planning. We're here to invite you, George said, but since Cedric is here too, let's go together. How about we walk around the campus together tomorrow? You say that as if I were given parchment as a free gift when I bought a quill pen. It's so cheap. Cedric looked at them with contempt. Besides, what's there to do in school? Fred raised his eyebrows slightly. Aren't you curious about the corridor on the 4th floor? Episode 35 Night Tour. The corridor on the 4th floor, where Dumbledore had forbidden the young wizards from going at the beginning of the school year. But that's human nature. The more it is prohibited and the more orders are repeated, the more it becomes eager to act. Since the first day of school, students have been curious about the place, and many of them have already taken action. The result was also tragic. The professors had anticipated this, so there were people patrolling there every day. The little wizards who were caught would have 5 points deducted at the very least, and at the worst, they would be put in solitary confinement. The current death list already has dozens of people, half of whom are Gryffindors. This also resulted in the Gryffindor score column being empty even after a week of school. Fortunately, there is no such thing as negative points, otherwise I would still owe several dozen points. Cedric looked at the twins in shock. Are you too crazy? Derek is still cleaning the bathroom every night and he smells when he comes back to the dormitory. Of course not, we are very sober. George Bear spread his hands. Please don't doubt our professionalism in night tours. Or a night tour? Cedric's voice rose an octave. Fred said as a matter of course. With so many people during the day, we must act at night. We've already investigated. Filch will be guarding the corridor tomorrow night. He's too easy to deal with. If Lee makes a noise somewhere else, he'll definitely rush over like a cat in heat. Why did you call me? Wayne asked curiously. It doesn't seem like I can contribute to this matter, right? Of course it's just in case. The twins said at the same time. If anything goes wrong, we need someone to take the blame. At that time, as long as we run faster than you, we will be absolutely safe. Wayne, you're not scared, are you? If you are, you can refuse. The two of them spoke one sentence each, and they cooperated with each other in perfect harmony. This was a conspiracy devised by the twins. They didn't have any bad intentions, but if Wayne got caught, it would be his own fault and he couldn't blame anyone else. Wayne naturally understood, so he agreed without hesitation. The twins achieved their goal and walked away arm in arm with a smile on their faces, while Cedric looked at Wayne. Are you really going? Of course, this has already been agreed. It would be terrible if you got caught. You might be the next one to clean the bathroom. Wayne said nonchalantly, as long as we don't get caught, it's fine. Are you going or not? I'll go. Then stop talking nonsense and go back and play another game. On his first weekend at Hogwarts, Wayne slept in and didn't get up until after 9 o'clock. There was no breakfast in the auditorium at this time. If it were other colleges, they could only eat snacks to fill their stomachs and wait until noon to have a full meal. But who is Wayne? Hufflepuff, eh? How can you starve while guarding the kitchen? As the elves bowed respectfully, he walked out of the kitchen with 2 tuna sandwiches, left the castle, came to the Black Lake, and sat casually on the lawn to eat breakfast. There were students on the lawn in groups of 3 or 4, some taking a walk, some chatting. Not far away, cheers came from the Quidditch field, and I didn't know which house was training. While eating, Wayne glanced at his system panel. There is no change in other attributes. There are more than 500 points in the points column, of which more than 400 points were earned this week. He was really lazy this week, and some of these points were earned by tricking the twins and making things difficult for Quirrell. The other part was earned by the spell he cast on his roommate before going to bed every night, from 5 points at the beginning to 2 points now. It is estimated that there will be fewer and fewer. The speed is too slow. But I'm going on a night tour tonight, and I don't know how many points I can get. After dinner, Wayne went to the library again and borrowed a book called Insights into the Dark Arts, How to Protect Yourself Safely. Hermione was also seen there. The little witch was hidden in a thick book. Wayne saw that she was engrossed in reading, so he left without disturbing her. In the afternoon, he toured the entire castle again, tried all the stairs in the main castle area, and gradually formed a 3-dimensional picture in his mind. Many people forget the rules of the stairs for various reasons before graduation. Wayne keenly noticed that there seemed to be a big business opportunity here. Combining some previous inspirations, he already had an idea. What is lacking now is technical ability. You still need to earn more points to participate in the lottery, and it would be best if you could draw some knowledge related to alchemy. Wayne, aren't you doing your homework? Looking at Wayne, who was doing nothing and strolling back like an old man, the 2 roommates all had black question marks on their faces. Why rush? Isn't there still tomorrow? And I don't have to do transfiguration homework. Professor McGonagall exempted me. It's good to have talent. Toby was extremely envious. The transfiguration homework was a full 6 inches. The 2 of them wrote until the evening and only finished half of their homework. Looking at his 2 roommates who were almost asleep, Wayne took out his wand. He was afraid that if he went out, the 2 guys wouldn't be able to find him when they woke up, and would go out and scream, exposing him. It is better to add a layer of insurance. Dizzy. No, I read it wrong. Sleep peacefully. When the light of the hypnotic spell fell, the 2 of them did not change at all. However, as long as there was no external influence, there would be no problem sleeping until dawn. When he arrived at the common room, Cedric was already waiting for him. Let's go. The model student was a little excited. It was not like he had not been on a night tour before, but this was the first time he had been with so many people. Not to mention that they were going to a restricted area that the principal had warned them about seriously. It's so exciting. Wayne's behavior was much more normal, no different from any other outing. Just stay calm. What if you attract Filch? Where are we meeting? The trophy room on the 2nd floor. Fred and George are probably already there. Let's go. The 2 walked out of the wooden barrel door and came to the 1st floor. The moment he stepped onto the 1st floor, Wayne's system also sent a prompt sound. Host's night out violates school rules, points +20, points +5 for each hour continued. Wayne's lips curled up into a slight smile. Isn't that it? From now on, I can go out for a walk every night and get 20 points. What's the difference between this and giving them away for free? He was a good student for a week, and it was a big loss. Seeing Wayne suddenly smile, Cedric was a little confused, but still reminded him quietly. Tread softly, Filch's cat ears are very pointy. Episode 36, The Strange First Two Defense Against the Dark Arts Professors. You are a wizard, can you solve the problem with magic? Wayne sneered, then cast a lightning spell on himself and Cedric. Cedric felt as light as a swallow, his footsteps barely audible. He asked excitedly, where did you learn this spell? 300 Tang poems. No, 30 practical spells. They're sold at Flourish and Blots. I'll buy one when I get a holiday. The two of them hurried along and soon arrived at the trophy display room. Sure enough, the twins had been waiting for a long time. They were hiding in a corner with a map in their hands. Seeing Wayne and Cedric coming over, George calmly put the map into his pocket. We're here pretty early, but plans have changed, so we'll have to postpone it a bit. Cedric frowned and asked warily, what tricks are you two playing? It's really not our fault this time. Fred sighed helplessly and explained. It's Lee. He was curious about what the owl's pet food tasted like. He took a couple of bites and has been lying in the school infirmary since this morning. Madame Pomfrey gave him some medicine, but he's still a little dizzy. Let's let him lie down for another half an hour. Wayne and Cedric were sweating profusely. Is this a Gryffindor? Why is he so brave? The most outrageous thing is that even when he is almost dying, he is still thinking about taking a night walk. It is impossible for them to learn this kind of spirit. Are you sure he can recover? Wayne confirmed. He didn't want to spend the whole night here. Don't worry, Lee is basically fine, he just can't tell the direction. Fred waved his hand indifferently and asked curiously. Wayne, did you really bully Professor Quirrell into tears? There are no secrets in Hogwarts. After spreading the news for an afternoon and a day, almost all the teachers and students in the school now know about the little conflict between Quirrell and Wayne. Even Professor Sprout called Wayne away during lunch and gave him some instructions. I know you're a good boy, Lawrence. Professor Quirrell is just overwhelmed. He needs some time. Wayne was also helpless. What do you mean I bullied him into tears? I just wanted the professor to cover up the spell. Who could have imagined that he would break down? Be nice to our defense against the dark arts professor. Fred patted Wayne's shoulder. This is the only year you'll get to see him. Maybe he's just on guard against vampires. Cedric, being the honest man, still defended Quirrell. He encountered vampires in Romania during his summer vacation and seemed terrified. Whatever the reason, Quirrell won't be around again after this semester. George shrugged. In fact, no one can stay in this position for more than 2 years. Wayne became interested. Can you tell me about the previous defense against the dark arts professor? He knew that this position was cursed by Voldemort, and he also knew what happened to several professors after that, but he really didn't know why the previous professors left. Lee Jordan hadn't arrived yet, and the twins were bored, so they started talking about the tragic experiences of the previous two defense against the dark arts professors. When we first enrolled, the defense against the dark arts professor was Olivier Knight, a nice-looking old man. But after Easter, the Ministry of Magic's beaters suddenly came to Hogwarts with a wanted poster. Professor Olivier has a bad habit, and that is alcoholism. He drank a little too much that time and actually beat the then Minister of Magic seriously. That's why Millicent Banneau was unable to stand for re-election due to health reasons, which led to the current minister taking over. Cedric nodded in agreement. That's what my father said. He also said that Barnold is cursing Professor Olivier every day at home. Wayne was dumbfounded. What an outrageous butterfly effect. A professor actually beat the Minister of Magic into early retirement. If Voldemort knew this, he would die of laughter. What about last year's professor? Wayne asked again. At this moment, the twins and Cedric's expressions became extremely strange, as if it was something that was very difficult to talk about. Last year's Montraclift was a friend of Headmaster Dumbledore. Cedric said slowly. What has he done wrong again? No, he didn't hit the Minister of Magic, and he's not a dark wizard. George shook his head and tried hard to hold back his laughter, but finally couldn't hold it back anymore. Clift suffered from severe mental illness. It wasn't until before the final exam that he accidentally left the St. Mungo's diagnosis in the classroom and was discovered by Charlie. Cedric continued. The school was in an uproar. A psychopath had been a teacher for a whole year, and no one noticed. The doctors at St. Mungo's were crazy. They searched all over Britain and even went to neighboring France to look for someone, but they never expected to find someone at Hogwarts. At this point, he couldn't help laughing. Wayne could already imagine how chaotic the scene would be. Then why did Dumbledore agree to let him teach? Wayne asked in confusion. Who knows, maybe no one is willing to apply for this position anymore. Even if he's a psychopath, it's better than cancelling the course. George said indifferently. Anyway, these two professors are much better than Quirrell. At least they taught us some real things. Even though Clift is a psychopath, he hasn't forgotten his ability to cast spells. I don't know what Quirrell is thinking. He taught Muggle studies well, so why did he have to come and seek death? Everyone had a consensus that the defense against the dark arts professor was a one-time professor. They didn't believe that Quirrell, who had been a teacher for several years, didn't know this. It can only be attributed to disbelief. Bang! A loud noise came from upstairs, and several people were startled. Fred jumped up. That must be Lee. He's trying to distract Filch. Sure enough, they soon heard Filch's roar. You big B asterisk 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 D again. I'm going to arrest you and put you in solitary confinement. For a year. The sound grew farther and farther away, and it was obvious that Filch had already walked upstairs. Let's hurry up. I don't know how long Lee can hold out. Watch out for Filch's cat. Pushing open the door to the trophy room, the twins ran out first, followed closely by Wayne and Cedric. Episode 37, Three-Headed Dog Fluffy, Wayne's Magic Show. In the silent corridor, 4 people tiptoed up the stairs. Every time he turned a corner, Fred would stick his head out to see if there was Mrs. Norris, and then let the other 3 follow. Every time Wayne passes a place, the system will sound a prompt and earn points. However, these rewards are one-time only and are only available when you reach the night tour state for the first time. When they reached the 4th floor, they could already smell the odor of dung. Wayne covered his nose in disgust. Can't you choose a method that won't hurt both sides? This is the simplest and most effective way, Fred said as they walked. Filch is a misophobe. If he can't catch anyone, he will definitely clean up the dung before coming back. That way he will have more time. Cedric marveled, you're really experienced. It seems that he still has a lot to learn about night travel. Don't think that Hufflepuff only produces honest children. In fact, all the naughty children of this grade are pretty much the same. It's just that the environment and background will affect a person. This is what makes Hufflepuff students look much more well-behaved than students from other colleges. They quickly arrived at their destination, the end of the corridor on the 4th floor. Originally there was supposed to be a corridor here, but starting this semester it has become a door. Cedric said, and the twins nodded. Both of them were extremely familiar with the main areas of the castle. Do we really want to go in? What if it's dangerous like Dumbledore said? The honest man swallowed. Fred scorned his cowardice and said, what are you afraid of? This is a school. Is the principal really going to bring a giant monster over here? As he said that, he was about to turn the doorknob, but the door was still locked. Allaho is open. I say forget it, but my body is very honest. Cedric moved faster than anyone else and was the first to take out his wand and cast the unlocking charm. What do you think is inside? I don't know, but there must be something valuable. A powerful spell, a treasure map? Anyway, anything is possible. Shit. Fred gasped instantly and didn't finish his words because he had already seen clearly what was inside. At the same time, I also know why Dumbledore gave such a stern warning. After the door was opened, there was not a room inside, but still a corridor. A dog was sitting there, staring at them with its 6 eyes. If we talk about numbers alone, 8 to 6, Wayne and his team have the advantage. But the dog was too big, filling all the space from the ceiling to the floor. It had 3 heads, all with ferocious expressions, sticky saliva flowing from the corners of its mouth, and a fishy stench hit the face. Merlin's wool socks. Is this a 3-headed dog? Cedric groaned. If there was a fence or other protective device between him and the 3-headed dog, he would definitely be very happy now. You know, it is rare to see a 3-headed dog in the British Isles. They are usually found in Greece. But now, Cedric could even feel the warmth of that stinky breath hitting his face. It's almost like sticking it directly. How could I be happy? George turned around decisively and tried to open the door that had just been closed, but the 3-headed dog was faster and thrust its head towards him with a growl. George was so frightened that he broke the door handle. Armor protection. An invisible wall stood between the 4 people and the 3-headed dog, causing the dog head that was flying towards them to be severely injured. It howled and retreated several meters. However, this little damage had no effect on the thick-skinned 3-headed dog. It just shook its head and returned to normal. What are you still standing there for? Wayne shouted, fix the door lock quickly and run. Oh. The other 3 people just woke up from their dream, and hurriedly put their hands on it to cast the repair spell. But because I was too nervous, I failed several times. Wayne didn't bother to care about them. He had been studying magic for so long and came here today just to find a suitable target to practice on. Falling unconscious. Repel them quickly. Flying scissors like rain. Colorful light shot out from Wayne's wand and hit the 3-headed dog. The space was too small and there was no room for the big guy to dodge. Bang! A stunning spell hit the dog's head on the left, knocking it unconscious. The twins were stunned, not even saying anything until Cedric fixed the door handle. They just stared at Wayne beating the dog's head. They know most of the magic here, but the effect is okay against humans. Using it against the 3-headed dog with both physical and demonic defenses is probably just like tickling. Wayne, this is too perverted. The sharp-eyed Cedric even saw a trapdoor on the ground in the space left by the retreating 3-headed dog. What's inside? Although he was curious, now was not the time to explore and decipher the secrets, so Cedric quickly pulled the door open. Wayne, run. Filch will be here soon. Is this the end? Now it was Wayne's turn to feel a little unsatisfied. However, seeing that the three had already gone out to wait for him, he finally used a cutting spell, leaving deep scratches on the floor to warn the three-headed dog, and ran out himself. After the door was closed, the beast's roar disappeared, and the few people finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then he looked at Wayne as if he were a monster. Wayne felt a little uneasy being stared at by them and couldn't help but hug his arms. "What are you looking at me for?" George looked at the boy and asked, "Are you an old monster who turned into a child to come to Hogwarts to relive your childhood?" Wayne frowned. "Your imagination is comparable to Rita Sky's. That reporter from the Daily Prophet? Mum said she was a clown. She actually called Dumbledore a lunatic. I'm just a little more hardworking than you, and I have a little more talent." Wayne gestured to form a universe on his fingertips. "Okay, we've gone to the corridor, let's go back to our dormitories." "What's the rush?" Fred shook his head. "I just had a shock and I need to eat something sweet to recover. I'll go get Lee, and we'll have some midnight snack together before we go back." Episode 38, Talent and Hard Work, and the Irritable Snape. The last three people found Lee Jordan in a suit of armor on the 5th floor. Filch was going crazy. He chased me from the 4th floor to the 8th. I jumped into a secret passage and returned to the 6th floor, but he caught up with me again. In the kitchen, Lee Jordan said excitedly while eating a sandwich. "It seems that escaping from Filch is no less than surviving the Battle of Camlin, and combined with the unique racial talents, it's like listening to rap." The elf thoughtfully prepared a large round table for them, which was filled with food and drinks. After finishing a sandwich, he said worriedly, "But I have a feeling Filch might know it's me. What if he causes trouble for me in the future?" Fred comforted him. "It's not a possibility, it's a certainty. You're the only N************ RS in the school, and you're the most dishonest. Filch definitely knows that." "Damn it." Lee was stunned, shaking with anger. "So you two are deliberately trying to trick me?" "Don't worry." Cedric comforted him after drinking a glass of lemonade. "As long as he's not caught on the spot or has evidence, he has no right to punish him." Fred curled his lips in disdain. "That's right, you've been following us for so many years, and you don't even know these little rules. It's because of following you that I've been put in solitary confinement so many times." Lee retorted indignantly, and then asked about the topic that concerned him most. "What's in that corridor? Did you see it?" Speaking of this, several people became excited. "I'm telling you, you won't believe it." Lee's mouth was so wide that even a pear could fit in it. "Three-headed dog? Trapdoor?" Then he looked at Wayne, who was showing off his fandom. "You said that Wayne defeated the three-headed dog?" "Not defeated," Wayne corrected. "Just stopped for a while." "We were the ones stopping you," Cedric interrupted. "Looking at the way you looked just now, you wouldn't stop until you'd beaten the three-headed dog to death. How did you manage to develop such powerful magic?" George said enviously. "Compared to you, I was a complete loser in 1st grade. We are the same now." Fred complained without mercy, even to himself. "With just those few moves, he could have turned the four of us into muggles." Cedric's mouth twitched. "You can laugh at yourselves if you want, but why bother dragging me into this? Don't you feel ashamed to be the top student in my grade? Is there any trick?" Cedric couldn't help but ask. "I really can't teach you that." Wayne shook his head. "Magic is an innate talent that can only be explored, not improved. To become stronger, besides mastering more spells, you also need to have a deeper understanding of magic. It's not that he is fooling a few people, but that is the fact. Dumbledore and Grindelwald's strengths are the result of both acquired and innate factors. During their school years, they showed extraordinary talents, and only with hard work could they achieve such terrifying achievements. In this, talent is the foundation, and only with hard work and a foundation can you see results. The most obvious example is Hermione. When Harry first started school, he was busy playing and would act recklessly when faced with problems. Hermione had already mastered many spells by then. But later, with Lupin's guidance, after the 3rd year, Harry's magical power surpassed Hermione's, and the gap was getting wider and wider. This is the difference in talent. Although Cedric's talent is good, it is only good among normal people. According to the system's grading, the overall evaluation is only at the B level. It's just that I'm average and work hard that I can sit firmly on the top spot in the grade. The twins are even worse, and they are more focused on how to have more fun. I just hate people like you with weird talents." Fred curled his lips. No one mentioned it again and focused on eating their midnight snack. Half an hour later, Wayne and the others walked out of the kitchen and went home. However, after watching Cedric enter the dormitory, Wayne walked out of the common room again. The check-in for the corridor on the 4th floor has been completed, and 50 points have been obtained. I've already earned over 100 points by just walking around tonight. Wayne didn't go out to get more points. Instead, I wanted to go to the banned book section of the library to see if there were any books I needed. He bought an elementary alchemy book at Flourish and Blots, which was also the alchemy textbook for Beauxbaton's School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Because of Nicholas Flamel, Beauxbatons is far ahead in alchemy, and young wizards can choose to practice alchemy in the 3rd grade. At Hogwarts, only those who pass the OWLS exam are eligible. More advanced books are not mass-produced. Alchemy is a subject with a very high threshold and is not suitable for widespread promotion. Wayne could only try his luck in the restricted books section to see if there was what he needed. Just as he returned to the 2nd floor, Dumbledore and Snape had already arrived at the 4th floor corridor. Looking at the oak door, which appeared unchanged, Snape placed his wand on the handle and sensed it. Then he spoke in a sinister tone. "Unlocking charm, it seems your warning is completely useless, Dumbledore." "That's understandable, Severus." Dumbledore didn't seem offended by the disobedience of his warnings. The tone was as casual as if he was chatting with a friend about his naughty grandson. "Wasn't it the same thing with you back then? Oh, by the way, there was even a wave." "Shut up," Snape interrupted him angrily. "When you get old, don't keep reminiscing about the past. Was that a pleasant experience? They should be expelled. And any little wizard who broke in here should be expelled. It's not that serious yet." Dumbledore blinked, took out the key and opened the oak door. "Let's see how far they have gone." Snape snorted coldly and did not enter first. That stupid dog only recognized Hagrid and Dumbledore, and would attack anyone else who appeared before it. He followed after Dumbledore went in. The 3-headed dog was about to get angry, but when it saw the familiar white beard, it immediately lay down, sticking out its 3 tongues and whimpering. "This is..." Snape's eyes narrowed. The wand emitted a bright light, allowing both of them to see the injuries on the 3-headed dog. Dumbledore said meaningfully, "It seems our little wizard is really capable." Episode 39 Wayne, I am Hufflepuff, how could I lie to you? I've discovered that you have a unique ability to turn a terrible event into a happy one. Snape, relying on Dumbledore's intimidation, checked the 3-headed dog's wounds before making a sarcastic remark. A little wizard beat a 3-headed dog into this state. He might be the next Dark Lord. And you still have the mood to praise him? If you hadn't told me it was a student who broke in, I would have thought it was Quirrell. A look of surprise flashed in Snape's eyes. He had just been discussing the Quirrell issue with Dumbledore in the office when a portrait rushed in and said that another young wizard had just entered the forbidden area and Filch had been led away. The two of them then came together. I don't think so. Dumbledore continued to smile. Tom. Don't mention that name. Snape shuddered, as if he had encountered something extremely terrifying. All right, Dumbledore said helplessly. Severus, if you want to defeat the Dark Lord completely, you must learn to face him. At the very least, treat him as an ordinary person. Ordinary people? Snape sneered. In this whole world, only you have the confidence to say that the Dark Lord is an ordinary person. Oh, maybe there's one more, the senior in Nermingard. Let's get back to the topic. Dumbledore's eyes reflected light and his expression became much more serious. The Dark Lord's appearance was a series of coincidences, a series of wrong choices that led him to his current path. Speaking of Voldemort, Dumbledore couldn't help but sigh. If I had guided him properly back then, perhaps the subsequent events wouldn't have happened. Snape scoffed at Dumbledore's opinion. Some people are born bad. If you had the ability, you should have killed him when he was in school. I haven't killed anyone in 82 years. Dumbledore's eyes flashed with sadness. Don't dwell on the past anymore. Who was that little wizard? Don't say you don't know. The entire castle is your spy. Snape knew very well that even though the old man usually didn't care about anything, there was no secret in Hogwarts that he didn't know. The same thing happened with Quirrell. The idiot thought he was hiding it well. But as soon as he appeared, not only Dumbledore, but even he himself could smell the dirty and disgusting stench. I must have had contact with that guy. Actually, I really don't know. Dumbledore paused for 2 seconds. I only have a rough guess, but it would be irresponsible to jump to conclusions. HMPH, just protect them. Snape left a few words, not wanting to waste any more time with him. He left 2 bottles of healing potion and strode away, dragging his robes along. In the corridor, only Dumbledore was left, still using the healing spell to heal the 3-headed dog's injuries. Wayne Lawrence, what a terrifying talent. Snape was right, the entire castle was filled with Dumbledore's spies, and he was referring to the portraits that were everywhere. Each portrait was ordered at the time of its creation to serve the current principal. Naturally, the actions of Wayne and his 4 companions would not be spared. Although he didn't know the specific situation after entering the room, Dumbledore knew exactly what level the other 3 people were at. Only Wayne, the young wizard who had just entered school, was the correct answer. Perhaps he should shift his gaze a little and pay more attention to other outstanding students. The next day, at 9 o'clock in the morning, Wayne yawned and went to the bathroom to wash up. He changed into a fresh robe and finally woke up completely. Wayne was so exhausted from the restricted books section yesterday that it wasn't until the roosters on campus crowed that he realized it was time to leave. This is the real treasure. Any book that can be placed in the restricted area must have its own special features or be dangerous. For example, the book Wayne has been reading, Alchemical Soul, Equivalent Exchange, contains many dangerous methods of refining items, and even carries the risk of death. It's a bit early for him to read this, as he hasn't mastered a lot of the knowledge. It is definitely unwise to rashly refine high-level alchemical items without extensive experiments. However, Wayne did not gain nothing, and it can be said that the trip was worthwhile. Wayne found a school owl and quickly wrote down the names and quantities of a bunch of materials. He also put dozens of galleons in his pocket and let the owl fly to Diagon Alley. After doing all this, he went to the kitchen to have breakfast, then left the castle and walked towards the edge of the Forbidden Forest. The Scottish Highlands are already a bit cold in September. Today is a cloudy and humid day. The thick fog hides the castle and only the top of the tower can be seen from a distance. Along the Black Lake, Wayne crossed the meadow and came to a small cabin on the edge of the Forbidden Forest. It can't be considered small, at least the door is 3 or 4 meters high, and the style is very rough, giving people the feeling that it was temporarily built by a child. Before Wayne could get close, a black dog next to the cabin started barking. Soon, dull complaints were heard from inside the house. "Yah, is there another little wizard going to the Forbidden Forest? Stop him quickly." Then there was chaos and confusion. Wayne activated his animal affinity talent, and instantly Yah's cry turned into a flattering whimper. This was a little trick he discovered. His talent would only take effect when he showed a desire to get close to these animals. "Little wizard, stay away from here. The Forbidden Forest is not a place you can go." Hagrid finally came out, with messy hair and tangled beard, looking sloppy. With a height of nearly 3 meters and a width of 2 meters, he was a veritable little giant. "Hello, my name is Wayne Lawrence. I'm not going to the Forbidden Forest. I'm here to find you." Wayne showed his harmless smile again and kept rubbing the dog's head with his hands. "Looking for me? Don't play these tricks, I won't believe it." Hagrid remained extremely vigilant. These little wizards were using all possible means to enter the Forbidden Forest. He waved to Yah, come here. To his surprise, his dog seemed not to hear anything and still sat there obediently, allowing Wayne to play with it. "Yes, I have something I'd like to ask you for help with." Wayne continued smiling. "I forgot to mention, I'm a freshman at Hufflepuff." "I'm Hufflepuff, how could I lie to you? Episode 40 and you and my friend, you are the real local tyrant." Hufflepuff, this thing plays a role in the British wizarding world similar to the chastity arch in ancient society. When talking about Hufflepuffs, you can say they are stupid, slow to react, and have average academic performance. But if you accuse them of being dishonest, cheating, or deceiving others, 9 out of 10 people will spit at you. This is the golden signboard. Obviously, the Hufflepuff brand is more useful for a straightforward person like Hagrid. "Come in." Hagrid opened the door, Wayne let Yah go, and walked in under the dog's reluctant gaze. The bonfire in the fireplace was burning brightly, crackling and exploding twice, making the whole room warm. There was a small stool in the room, but no table. Wayne didn't mind and sat on it directly. Hagrid was sitting on his bed. Lawrence, is there anything you need to talk to me about?" "Just call me Wayne." Wayne made up an excuse. "I heard about you from Harry. He said you were a very good and enthusiastic person. So, when I encountered a problem, you were the first person I thought of." Wayne was not afraid of Hagrid and Harry's subsequent testimony. He did mention Hagrid, but not in detail. With Harry's intelligence, even if Wayne hadn't mentioned Hagrid, he would have been able to trick him into thinking that he had forgotten. Hearing this, the half-blood giant smiled sheepishly. Whether it was Wayne's flattery or Harry's willingness to mention him in front of his friends, it made him very happy. The attitude that was just official suddenly became enthusiastic. The half-blood giant stood up and walked to the fireplace, brought a 30-inch iron plate and a cloth bag. He opened the bag and a lot of candy rolled out. "Have some sugar and some saltine pie I made this morning." Wayne took the candy with a smile, but declined the pie. "Is that really something for human consumption? It looks harder than a brick. Is there anything I can help you with?" "Let me make it clear first, I won't help you with anything that violates school rules." Hagrid asked, rubbing his hands. "Of course not. Actually, I just need some materials to make some small gadgets." Wayne waved his hand and took the opportunity to spit out the candy. "The code is too sweet." "Is that so?" Hagrid breathed a sigh of relief and patted his chest loudly. "What do you need? As long as I can get it, I will definitely help you get it." "That's great." Wayne was overjoyed and expressed his needs. "Feathers of the shrew, scales of the cockatrice, feathers of the unicorn, bones of the T-boar, and eggs of the fire ash snake." "Is that all?" Hagrid asked again after listening. "Are there any quantity requirements?" "Well, a small amount is fine. It's just practice after all." Wayne glanced at Hagrid and said casually, "It would be great if we could get some acromantula venom." "Acromantula venom." Hagrid frowned. "Everything else is simple, but I don't have acromantula venom right now. I'll help you find it when we go to Hogsmeade another day." You eat first, I'll go to the cellar to get the ingredients for you. Wayne was also a little surprised when he saw the giant's back as he walked out. Not as honest as imagined. What Hagrid said just now about going to Hogsmeade to help him find the venom of the acromantula was completely a cover-up. The purpose was just to prevent him from knowing that there was such a dangerous creature in the Forbidden Forest. This little bit of cleverness also slightly changed Wayne's opinion of him. As expected, no one should be underestimated and must have a positive attitude. About 10 minutes later, Hagrid came back and walked in carrying a large sack. See if these are enough. If not, I'll go to the Forbidden Forest and pick up some more. Wayne took the sack, his hand felt heavy, he opened the bag and looked inside, then fell silent. It was stuffed full of all kinds of feathers, bones, and fire ash snake eggs, stuffed together like garbage. The snow-white feathers were gathered into a ball, and Wayne could tell at a glance that they were unicorn feathers. Any wizard with a little common sense knows how precious this thing is. The best quality unicorn feathers that can be used to make magic wands can be sold for 5 galleons each. The lower quality ones can also be used to make beauty potions, and a bag of 10 galleons contains only about a dozen or so unicorn feathers. Hagrid's bunch, there must be at least dozens of them. There are quite a few white dumplings in the bag. Adding other things to it, this big sack is worth at least several hundred galleons. The way he looked at Hagrid changed. This is what a real rich man is. Isn't that enough? Seeing that Wayne didn't say anything, Hagrid scratched his head in annoyance. Then you'll have to wait a little longer. I'll go to the Forbidden Forest to help you look for it. That's enough for me to practice. Wayne quickly advised. This time's harvest has far exceeded his expectations, and there will be no problem using it until after Christmas. Thank you so much, Hagrid. The giant smiled and said, it's okay. If you need anything in the future, just come to me. I won't need these things. What he said was correct, because Wayne just saw that this guy actually had a blanket woven entirely with unicorn feathers. What a waste of resources. Determined to maintain a good relationship with the raw material supplier, Wayne also took out the gift he had prepared long ago. The elf said, you're also the one taking care of the school garden. These potions are for repelling garden gnomes and insect repellent. Please take them. Very good. Hagrid's eyes lit up. Those goblins and vixens are driving me crazy. You've been a real help, Wayne. We are friends, aren't we? All of a sudden, the half-blood giant was moved to tears. At Hagrid's hospitality, Wayne left the cabin carrying the sack and the rock pie. Walking back to Hufflepuff's common room, Cedric was watering the plants in the room. Seeing Wayne carrying a lot of bags, he came over. Are you going to rob? Wayne remained calm. No, I was just chatting with a friend and gave him some local specialties. What local specialties? Here are the pie. Wayne handed over the box of pie and walked back to the dormitory. When I opened the box, I saw that it was indeed a stuffed pancake, still steaming. As a Hufflepuff, Cedric took a bite without hesitation. Ouch, my teeth.